With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf has received here in Algiers the Director General of the International Organization for Migration, Ms. Amy Pope, now on a visit to Algeria. The A3 group in the UN Security Council has called on all parties in Venezuela to show restraint, while Venezuela's ambassador to the UN has called on the Security Council to condemn the use of force against his country. Over 40 international and Arab human rights defense organizations have condemned the Israeli occupying authorities' decision to ban the activities of humanitarian organizations. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Salmani. The Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and the African Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, has received here in Algiers the Director General of the International Organization for Migration, Ms. Amy Pope, who is on an official visit to Algeria. The meeting was devoted to discussing various aspects of the existing cooperation between Algeria and the International Organization for Migration, as well as ways to strengthen these relations to ensure an effective response to the various challenges related to migration. The Director General of Mauritanian Security, Major General Mohamed Lehraitani, has visited several specialized operational and technical departments under the Director General of National Security, DGSN. As part of its visit to Algeria, the Mauritanian delegation visited the Central Laboratory of Scientific and Technical Police in Algiers, where a comprehensive technical presentation was given to the laboratory's organizational chart, its missions, and the modern scientific equipment and advanced laboratory techniques used in the field of forensic to support the work of the judicial police. During a visit to the headquarters of the Special Police Operations Group in Boudouel, the delegation learned about the various structures and missions of the group, as well as the training of its members, before attending operational demonstrations and simulation exercises illustrating the professionalism and operational readiness of the group's members. As you followed in our top stories, the A3 group in the UN Security Council, made up of Somalia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Liberia, has called on all parties in Venezuela and the international community to show restraint following the recent developments in the country. The details in this report by Ms. Sharfi.
Addressing a Security Council meeting devoted to the latest developments in Venezuela, the permanent representative of Liberia, Louis Brown, expressed on behalf of the A3+ group solidarity with the Venezuelan people and urged for restraint and respect for international law, and offered support for a peaceful, inclusive, and lasting resolution to the situation in Venezuela.
The A3 expresses its solidarity with the people of Venezuela and reiterates the African Union's commitment to peace, stability, and mutual respect among nations and regions. It's important for all parties, both within Venezuela and in the broader international community, to exercise restraint and responsibility, upholding international law and avoiding any action that could escalate tension or threaten regional stability. The A3 stands ready to support all efforts within this council and in cooperation with regional partners to facilitate a peaceful, inclusive, and lasting resolution to the situation in Venezuela.
He said the A3+ group aligns with the African Union's communique on the situation in Venezuela, monitoring the developments there, highlighting the serious challenges to the security and stability of Venezuela and the whole region.
The A3 aligns itself with the recent communique of the African Union on the situation in the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and continues to monitor developments there with deep concerns. In particular, we note reports regarding the detention of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and incidents involving Venezuelan institutions. Such developments present serious challenges not only to Venezuela's internal stability, but also underscore the imperative to safeguard the broader peace and security of the region.
Liberia's representative said the A3+ group is committed to the international law, respecting sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states, promoting dialogue and ensuring peaceful dispute resolution, and respecting constitutional and institutional frameworks.
The A3 remains steadfast in its commitment to the fundamental principles of international law, including the full respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states, as enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, in the interest of regional stability and international peace. We believe these are essential foundations for international cooperation and peaceful coexistence. Our position underscores the importance of dialogue, the peaceful settlement of disputes, and respect for constitutional and institutional frameworks.
In this connection, Venezuela's ambassador to the United Nations, Samuel Moncada, called on the UN Security Council to take steps in the wake of the U.S. strikes that targeted his country over the weekend. During an emergency meeting of the Council, he urged the Security Council to fully assume its responsibility and act in accordance with its mandate as provided by the United Nations Charter, calling on the Council to condemn the use of force against his country and reiterating the principles of the non-use of force to seize territory or resources.
Venezuela cree firmemente en la diplomacia.
Venezuela firmly believes in diplomacy, dialogue and peaceful coexistence among nations. That has always been our historical position, and it remains so today, even in the face of an aggression of this magnitude. It is precisely that commitment to peace, the one that was violated on the 3rd of January. Therefore, Venezuela urges this Security Council to fully assume its responsibility and to act in accordance with the mandate conferred upon it by the Charter of the United Nations. In that regard, we request, A, that the government of the United States of America be demanded to fully respect the immunities of President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores, as well as their immediate release and safe return to Venezuela. 2, that the use of force against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela be clearly and unequivocally condemned. Thirdly, that the principle of non-acquisition of territory or resources by force be reaffirmed. And 4, that measures aimed at de-escalation, the protection of the civilian population, and the restoration of international law be adopted.
President Maduro and his wife were arrested and transferred to the United States, where he later on appeared before a federal court in New York, denying the charges brought against him and affirming that he remains the president of Venezuela. President Maduro, 63, pleaded not guilty to 4 criminal charges before a federal court in New York, describing himself as an honest man, asserting that he remains the president of Venezuela. A second hearing in his trial has been scheduled for March 17th. Meanwhile, Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez took the constitutional oath yesterday as the country's interim president. Earlier, the Supreme Court of Venezuela had announced that Rodriguez would assume the presidency.
Now, over 40 international and Arab human rights defense organizations have condemned the Israeli occupying authorities' decision to ban the activities of the humanitarian organizations. In a joint communique, they called for the dismissal of the measure, which they said constitutes a serious escalation and a new direct attack against the Palestinian population. They stated that the measure was aimed at limiting the access to medical assistance and humanitarian aid and at covering up the daily violations in Gaza. Meanwhile, one Palestinian was today killed by the Israeli soldiers in Khan Yunis in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. According to the news agency Wafa, 422 Palestinians have been killed since the ceasefire came into force last October. This came as the Resistance Commission to the Jewish settlement building affirmed that 47 hectares belonging to the governorates of Jenin and Nablus in the West Bank bombed by the Israeli occupying army. It stressed that the order issued by the Israeli occupying authorities provides for the construction of a road linking Jewish settlement units. It is worth noting that the Embassy of Palestine has been inaugurated in London over 3 months after the United Kingdom recognized the State of Palestine. Now to our African news. Angola has announced that it had submitted proposals to the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Félix Tshisekedi, to end the conflict in eastern DRC, proposals that the Congolese leader described as interesting. Mariam Bershi has more.
In a statement, the Angolan presidency said that the President Tshisekedi found certain proposals presented by President Lourenço and acting chairman of the African Union, AU, very interesting, and that they could make a significant contribution to the pursuit of peace. The details of the proposals, however, were not disclosed. The defense ministers of the member countries of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region are set to meet on January 8th in Livingstone, Zambia, and to address the worsening security situation in eastern DRC. The region bordering Rwanda and rich in natural resources has faced recurring violence for over 30 years, which escalated with the resurgence of the M23 group since 2021. After seizing Goma and Bukavu in early 2025, M23 launched a new offensive in December in South Kivu, capturing Uvira and border areas with Burundi. Violent clashes continued on Saturday between the M23 and pro-Kinshasa troops around Uvira.
The President of the African Union Commission, Mahamadou Ali Yusuf, congratulated the Guinean people who voted in peace and serenity, calling on the international community to consider lifting the sanctions imposed on the country. In a statement reported by the media today, Mahamadou Ali Yusuf noted the smooth conduct of the elections on the 28th of December, which were held in accordance with relevant international standards and the national legal framework. In this regard, he urged the international community to assess the situation in the Republic of Guinea and consider lifting the sanctions imposed on the country. As a reminder, Mamadi Doumbouya won 86.72% of the vote in the election. Now in Sudan, a drone strike on the Sudanese city of El Obeid, the capital of North Kordofan state, has killed 10 people, including 7 children. More with Mariam Barshi.
The drone strike hit a house in the center of El Obeid, a city controlled by the army but under siege by the Rapid Support Paramilitary Forces, RSF. Since mid-December, over 11,000 people have fled North and South Kordofan amid rising violence. The conflict in Sudan has killed tens of thousands, displaced millions, and triggered what the UN calls the worst humanitarian crisis in the world, with all mediation efforts so far failing to end the fighting. In this context, the Sudanese army announced that it had shut down drones belonging to the RSF that were attempting to target the Mero Dam and 2 military facilities in the north of the country. The Sudanese army said its air defenses intercepted Rapid Support Forces drones targeting the Mero Dam, the 19th Division headquarters, and Mero Air Base with no casualties. Meanwhile, violence continues in Darfur, where 114 people were killed last week, including 51 civilians in North Darfur, and the Sudan Doctors Network reported heavy bombardments in Delang, South Kordofan. The Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Paramilitary Forces have been engaged in an armed conflict since mid-April 2023, which has resulted in tens of thousands of deaths and the displacement of millions inside Sudan and abroad.
Now in sports, Algeria and the Democratic Republic of the Congo face off in one of the most anticipated matches of the AFCON 2025 Round 16. Both teams arrive with strong credentials, setting the stage for a thrilling knockout encounter where there is no margin for error. Algeria entered the knockout stage as one of only two teams to post a perfect group stage record. Now you're listening to Radio Algeria International.
2025 has been a pivotal year for Algeria's economy, marked by concrete advances on four major fronts: regional free trade, large mining projects, energy transition, and digital transformation. From the borders with Tunisia to the Garachbilet iron ore in the southwest, from gas fields to digital platforms, Algeria has been turning strategic visions into signed agreements, inaugurated projects, and accelerated works. In today's program, we will look at what has actually been done and achieved over the year, where the Free Trade Zone project with Tunisia stands, how Garachbilet is moving from plan to production, and what has changed in energy and how digitalization is reshaping services and the business climate. Algeria's economic diplomacy in 2025 has been strongly focused on its neighbours, with the idea of creating free trade zones at the borders as real engines in local development and continental integration. One of the most advanced tracks is with Tunisia. Politically, the choice has been made. Free trade is no longer just a slogan, but a tool to formalize and boost the intense cross-border exchanges already happening between the two countries. The aim is to reduce tariffs and non-tariffs barriers, ease customs procedures, and better integrate both economies into regional value chains, including within the African Continental Free Trade Area. The turning point came with the 23rd Algerian-Tunisian Joint High Commission for Cooperation held in Tunis in late 2025. During the meeting, the two governments signed a large package of agreements and memoranda of understanding around 24 texts covering sectors such as transport, energy, education, health, and digital services. These agreements do not yet mean that the free trade zone is fully operational, but they provide the legal and institutional backbone needed to move from political declaration to practical implementation. For trade operators and border populations, it is a signal that the two states are working to make crossings easier, logistics more fluid, and procedures more predictable. 2025 has been the year in which Free Trade Project has moved from concept to structured cooperation. Far from coastal cities in the southwest of the country, near Tindouf lies one of Algeria's most strategic projects, Garachbilet, one of the world's largest iron ore deposits. For years, this mine was seen as a promise. In 2025, the authorities confirmed that the initial development phase designed to launch production and test the industrial model was progressing, with output ambitions in the range of a few million tons per year. The objective is not only to extract ore, but to create an integrated mining and metallurgical chain that reduces Algeria's dependence on imported iron and steel inputs. The year was marked by strong instructions from the highest authorities to accelerate Garachbilet and other major mining projects. This acceleration includes associated infrastructure, first and foremost a long-distance railway line to connect the deposit to processing and industrial centers in the northwest of the country. This rail link is essential as it will allow large volumes of ore to be transported at competitive cost to transformation plants where added value and jobs will be created. The message in 2025 has been clear. Garachbilet must not be just a source of raw material for export, but a lever for industrialization, technology transfer, and regional development. By the end of 2025, this project had clearly moved into a new phase with investments committed, works underway, and a calendar oriented towards a significant ramp-up after 2026. For the southwest regions, this is also the promise of new jobs, services, and infrastructure around a long-term economic project. Energy remains at the heart of Algeria's power and of its foreign currency earnings. But in 2025, the focus has been not only on volumes, but also on the quality and diversification of energy projects. The public authorities have renewed instructions to speed up strategic projects in natural gas-related infrastructure and mining-linked energy supply. Several large gas and industrial projects have been pushed forward as priorities, with the dual objective of securing domestic supply and consolidating export capacity, particularly towards Europe and neighboring countries. At the same time, industrial and public groups have stepped up work on renewables and smart energy solutions. Algerian companies have presented new products in electronics, solar power, and intelligent control systems, underlining the desire to move up the value chain in equipment manufacturing and energy services. These developments fit within a broader strategy, diversifying the economy away from crude hydrocarbons only, while using the country's energy potential to support industry, mining, projects like Garage Villette and cross-border trade zones. 2025 has therefore been a year of continuity in energy, but with a stronger emphasis on technology, downstream activities, and regional interconnections. The fourth pillar of the year's economic action is less visible than a mine or a gas field, but just as decisive: digitalization. In 2025, Algeria has treated digital transformation as a horizontal project touching administration, business, and citizens. The authorities have announced an ambitious program, over 500 digital projects planned for the 2025 to 2026 period, with the majority dedicated to the modernization and dematerialization of public services. The idea is simple: no strong economy without efficient, transparent, and fast administration. These projects are part of the Digital Algeria 2030 vision, structured around several axes: digital infrastructure, training and skills, digital governance and competitive digital economy, and an inclusive digital society. Among the flagship initiated are an interactive national portal for digital public services and an interoperability platform that allows different administrations to exchange data securely. For companies, this digitalization promises fewer queues and fewer paper procedures, more online services, and better visibility on administrative processes. For the state, it means better control of information, better statistics, and tools to monitor major projects, from free trade logistics to railway construction and energy networks. By the end of 2025, digitalization had clearly moved from speeches to programming and launch of concrete projects, with a calendar, budgets, and institutional structures dedicated to implementation. In the medium term, these digital foundations should make all the other economic projects more efficient and more attractive to investors. From the Tunisian border to the Garage Villette mine, from gas pipelines to fiber optic cables, Algeria in 2025 has woven the threads of a more diversified and better connected economy. The free trade zone with Tunisia has gained structure through concrete agreements. Garage Villette has entered an accelerated development phase, supported by major infrastructure. The energy sector has continued to modernize and turn towards technological solutions. Digitalization has moved to the center of public policy, with hundreds of projects planned or launched. The coming years will show how the decisions and achievements of 2025 will be translated into growth, jobs, and new opportunities for citizens and businesses. But one thing is clear: the country has chosen to link its territorial resources its regional partnerships, and its digital future within a single economic trajectory.